how much coffee did the Punisher drink each day? How many members did Fisk recruit to his task force? And ultimately, was this return of Daredevil worth it? I'm Brody. To my left is Tudong Dylan.
Hey.
And to my right is Charlie Hickman.
Hello.
Charlie's going to be taking us through this episode, and we will be scoring this episode and looking at our scores for the entire season at the end of this. So you're going to want to stick around for that. But before we get there, Charlie, go ahead and take us through this season finale of Daredevil Born Again.
All right. So look, I thought we could talk about the show kind of almost like in 3 acts.
Okay.
We have this kind of long stretched out opening here. And we start with Bullseye, and then we have 17 cuts back and forth between Hospital Matt. So we have Hospital Heather and Kirsten talking Kirsten McDuffie. You're talking about stuff, and then we have like Fisk and then we have like Sheila and the commissioner. So we can kind of hit this as like one large section.
Sure.
I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. I'm just gonna ask you some quick hitting questions.
Okay.
Brody, you're a big Bullseye fan. Did you like that opening setup of seeing kind of a little bit of that backstory with him and Vanessa?
It was fine, I guess. You know, I thought it was funny when the med tech put the meds down, and then Vanessa was just like, joink. Like that med tech didn't stick around. He didn't stick around to like make sure that he takes the medicine. He's just like, I'm going to trust that you are going to take this medicine, you serial killer.
He's only the most deadliest patient they've ever had there, but it's okay. You know.
There was a baseball next to him the entire time, by the way. He was sitting there, drugged out of his mind. They must have really drugged him up because, like I said, there was a baseball like in arm's reach of him. We've seen him kill people with less than that.
In the medtech's defense, would you want to stand in front of someone who could literally spit a pill through your eyeball? I mean,
that's a good point.
Like, hey, here's your pills. You can take them.
Yeah,
I'm going over there. You know, out of blast range.
No, that's a good point. I do enjoy Bullseye. I wish that we had gotten more Bullseye. We kind of got this rather large arc of him last episode, and then we just kind of got this, and that was it. So I was like, oh, yeah. No, but we get no follow up to what happened in the last episode.
I hope in the second season that we can stop just referring to him as Poindexter. If we could just like call him Bullseye or
let's just call
anything
him Bullseye.
Else.
Yeah.
It's like, so they're talking so seriously. And then Poindexter escaped from jail. Like Poindexter's coming to kill you, and it's like just like some like Revenge of the Nerds nightmare. Anyway, that's a small gripe.
A real quick note on the last episode though, and my wife brought it up when we were chatting about this, and she was like, you know, he knew that he was going to Kingpin's ball. He knew that he's like his arch nemesis. He's going to face him. He didn't think to wear any like armor underneath his suit. Like he has a suit of armor, and I don't know.
He was wearing the strongest armor of all, Brody. Plot armor.
He didn't seem. He was shot in the chest. Usually, people have hearts right there, and he's just like, "I'll be fine. Don't worry about it."
I think it was like technically the shoulder. I think it was technically shoulder.
Really?
Yeah.
I never even thought about him wearing armor the entire time until you just said that. By the way,
he has a suit of armor.
Matt likes to look good.
Is it not bulletproof though? Is it? I mean, it's not bulletproof.
You don't think so?
But,
I figured it would be.
I mean, it certainly probably would have helped. It would have helped.
Wouldn't have hurt.
He was wearing it, and like, even if he did still get like shot or cut or whatever it is, like I'm sure he would have been in a lot better state of condition.
Yeah. Although it really didn't take him long to heal from this anyways. So I guess it's kind of a moot point.
That healing factor. His powers have really ramped up this season, and I do appreciate that.
And you know, I gotta say, like he wakes up and he is drugged. Even I don't know, I can't remember who it was who was there, but they're like, yeah, it's the drugs because he was calling out for Karen, of course. And Heather, of course, you just saw like, oh. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Your guy got shot.
They are
Hell, like-
working overtime to make us not like Heather. They are like, they're like sitting in the writers' room. They're going, okay, no. I think she's too likable. Let's give her a line here about how this is about how Matt's terrible and awful. And I'll come back later when you're not all upset that you got shot. This might go on my top 5 all time like worst chemistry couples in TV show history. This is like just unbelievable. And he's like, I love you, like a few episodes ago. I mean, just like the worst, least believable loving relationship of all time. Oh boy. Yeah. But hey, they kind of clear that up by the end of where everybody stands. What do we think of Matt's superpower of being able to not just notice footsteps, but to know their intentions?
Love it.
He's like, oh, those are nefarious footsteps coming my way.
He's the Jedi at this point. That's why Marvel and he's part of Disney.
If I detect the sound of an assassin lurking in the shadows.
Maybe it was a smell. Maybe it was a smell thing. He recognized his smell.
I thought, he could smell the gun that was coming.
It was a syringe. It was a syringe. Maybe he smelt the poison in the syringe.
That's no teddy bear. That's a syringe.
I'd also like to say that I thought that Matt had gotten maybe not a checkmate with Fisk, but all of that, I was like, wow, genius move. He's got him now. Oh, what is he going to do? Say that he's Daredevil? Oh, and save the mayor's life? Apparently, that led to nothing because he's just he was just like,
do the line. Give us the line in full Kingpin voice. Come on.
Yeah.
What line? Which line?
Better a dead hero than a live vigilante. But make it sound like the Minute Black.
A dead hero is better than a live vigilante.
There you go. There you go. You started Batman and you found Kingpin. That was good.
You do D'Onofrio doing Kingpin. I just always default back to the Men in Black roach guy.
Is this better?
I did think of the Kingpin voice this episode, and I was like, that was a choice that he made many years ago. I wonder if he kind of regrets having to do that growl so much. It's a great voice, but at some point you're probably like, man, I need a lozenge or something.
Aristocrat Kingpin. It is I. You're a dead hero than a live vigilante, I always say. What did you guys think of the Sheila Commissioner stuff? Was that the least surprising double cross in the history of double crosses?
I hear when he's like, I'm gonna go to Albany and I was like, oh dude, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
Why would he trust anybody that's close to Kingpin?
Anybody?
You seem sensible.
Why is that a great idea? This person that's with Kingpin all the time, who's advising him on how to do his job, and he's like, she's probably someone I should confide in about.
Yeah, you seem like a reasonable person working for this monster of a human being doing all these horrible things. You seem like a smart gal. Good head on your shoulders. All right. Well, the city goes dark. We get "Killing Me Softly" playing. Just nice in case you weren't sure what was happening.
I like that.
We get Buck in pursuit of Matt in the hospital, but Matt escapes by the skin of his cheeks, and we get kind of this middle section here now. After all these back and forths, we settle on Matt at home, and the Punisher, who I don't remember ever having this much of a passion for coffee, but I'm glad he has found a hobby that brings him joy.
Loves it.
Loves coffee. He strikes me as a guy who just drinks it kind of scorched and black, but I don't know. Maybe in the next season he'll order some kind of latte and really throw me for a loop. I'll take a pumpkin spice latte, and if you call it basic, I'll shoot you right here in the face. My whole family's dead.
Yeah, that's him ordering coffee.
My whole family's dead.
He's yelling at Matt in a blackout for not having some battery-powered coffee machine. How could you not have a battery-powered coffee maker like everybody else?
At least a pour over. You could do a pour over.
You could do a pour. You're right. You're right. He could have a drip. He could have a drip. You're right. Okay. Hey, I'm Brody's
Hey,
like
you
a
can have
fancy coffee guy.
French
I'm
press.
Brody's a fancy beer guy. He's a fancy coffee guy. I just got a pod, and let me put my Pacific Bold Kirkland brand coffee pod in my, in my coffee brewer.
Nothing,
The aroma.
nothing wrong with a French press. Come on, French press.
He
Yeah,
could,
man.
yeah, he
Were
could
you
have had a
guys
French press.
excited to see Punisher, and how did
Yeah.
that, like, the setup of him being back with Matt? I guess we can just talk about the whole scene. So their interactions. I was a little disappointed that he's kind of trying to make some kind of nightgown crack when Daredevil was right there. You wearing that nightgown? Look, you got your cheeks out, Daredevil, a man with no pants. He could have really sold it there, but instead he went for the nightgown joke. The fight scene stuff, I think you guys were probably pretty excited about that. Am I gauging that right, Dylan? You're our resident fight choreographer.
It's true.
What did you think of the fight stuff?
It was great when it was there. It's tough to see in the dark.
It was dark. Did that bother you guys? The lighting, like the way that they shot that?
No.
It bothered me just in the sense that I would have liked to have seen more. I mean, they do really. I think that this is television's like best fight choreography that I've seen. Like, it is excellent. It is impeccable, and I'd like to see it. And I mean, hey, there's quick cuts and things along those lines, and there's cutting back and forth with him and Fisk sometimes because they're trying to beat a dead horse into us because But I love seeing Matt back in costume. I love seeing him working with Punisher. That I thought was fantastic. I was surprised they were still having issues with killing and not killing. You think they would have figured this stuff out by now? But
yeah,
I love this fight.
I'm fatigued in that. Go, Brody, tell us about the fight. Give me your top 3 moments of the fight. Top 3 moments.
Oh man. Well, Punisher shooting the guy in the back of the head through the glass was cool.
Oh, nice.
Punisher throwing the guy like mouth first into the countertop and then shooting him in the head. Like,
repeatedly.
Like so unnecessary. Like, pick one, man. Like, it's just that poor guy.
In this show, they don't die as easily as you might think. So you gotta make sure.
Yes,
it's true.
Those extra 3 bullets might make the big difference here.
It's true. It's true.
Life and death.
I swear, I thought Fisk had beaten Adam to death, and I was wrong. I completely was wrong.
To stay tuned to find out if Adam made it into the finale. The mid-credit scene might have shocked you. All right, bro, that's only 2 moments. I need a 3rd moment.
Maybe Daredevil like hitting Cole in the face just as hard as he could. Like, it was funny because Daredevil seemed to be getting mad at Punisher for killing people, but then Daredevil was like not always holding back when he's beating this guy with his metal billy clubs. He was doing some damage,
and,
doing some real damage.
How are they not dead? How are they not dead?
I think that's probably what we are like, not beyond the fact that like I feel like maybe the showrunners or writers were like, hey, everyone really liked the Netflix show. Why don't we take the plots that we already did in those shows, like the arguments about whether or not Daredevil should kill people and all this stuff. Let's bring those back to outside of that, but just the more attention you draw to it, the more ridiculous it is that he's just swinging that billy club full force. You're hearing the metal echo against somebody's heads. We are such fragile sacks of meat. If you hit me in the temple or the jaw with like a metal bat or like a metal billy club at full strength, especially Daredevil's full strength, my head would eviscerate. There would just be, I would look like the commissioner, spoiler alert, getting my head squished, except it would be Daredevil's billy club just taking this part of my jaw and moving it here. You should have seen my face after I got hit by a softball. I had like, and my mouth has not recovered. My smile is forever pushed to one side when I took a ball off the face when I was pitching, when it bounced off the mound. You're telling me a metal bat like thing wouldn't just knock my brain clear out of my head? It would be like a cartoon. It would hit me, and then you would see the brain come out, and then the strings of the brain would pull it, snap it back in.
You'd look like the commissioner.
Just his face. That's not where it goes. It's a little silly.
But through all that, I still liked that. I still liked it.
Yeah.
How do you like that? I thought that you don't like horror movies, and that was more gratuitous.
Wait. That's the commissioner stuff. We'll get to the commissioner's head exploding in a little bit.
Loved it.
Can I give you guys a nitpick? I know
Sure.
you're not used to me nitpicking. I'm Mr. Positivity. Uh,
True. This is very true.
but it did bother me, like in the midst of all the chaos in the fight scene, that the Punisher just kind of casually looks down on the ground. And he pulls up the little bullet shell casing with the Punisher logo, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think we found your guy, Red. And then it happened to be like the guy who's got his hand like knifed to the wall, and there he is. Like it was just like the most like Scooby Doo setup of all time, and it was
I thought
him
all
all
of those
along.
cops, all of those cops would have had those bullet casings. I was like, well, all of them must have this, right?
Yeah, I thought that all of them had.
Right? And they didn't. He was like, yeah, well, yeah, it was him. And I'm like, what?
And
Matt,
maybe
you
we'll
find
find out. Maybe we'll find out next season that it wasn't him, and there's some whole other reason why they're keeping that storyline. I guess it's fun. It's like it was irritating to me in the moment,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
like, at least it's done. Like at least we don't have to think about that for a little while.
Sure.
Hopefully we can just leave dear sweet Ayala and the White Tiger buried, and let the little girl have her own show in some other universe.
We can let her go.
Just
That's okay.
she can just go off and do her own thing. We can just have Daredevil and Punisher doing Daredevil Punisher things, like
Well,
him going grenade, and then like in the most buddy cop film, jump out a window of all time. That was pretty great.
I loved that when they jumped at the same time and Daredevil grabbed him and swung him down. I was like, yeah, it was great. That was great. And then we got them walking down. Go ahead, Tudong.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I love how they were walking down the street together, and then the car pulls up. Oh, Charlie, you're gonna say something?
Well, I'm sorry, because I know we're about to get to this next section, and I know Dylan's gonna have some things to say about it. When he's in the apartment, and then Daredevil like starts hearing things, and then it goes to like that kind of fisheye lens, as if he's seeing inside the car and knows exactly how many people are there. And like, is this another like example of his enhanced powers of the season? Because it kind of made it look like, and then he's like, they're here. Like, but like the way that it was filmed, it was like, it wasn't like they were showing us it was here. It was like he was seeing it because the camera lens, they hadn't used this whole season. It kind of had this, like, I don't know, maybe fisheye is even the wrong term, but it had that kind of like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, and they're all the task force guys are in the car.
Yeah.
That kind of had this weird, was that him seeing it?
And they've, I think he probably heard it or smelt it or felt maybe he felt the vibrations. I don't know. I didn't think too hard about it. I was kind of like, that's all right.
It was a cool visual effect. I just didn't know if I was even reading that right, that like that was what he was seeing. It was just an interesting.
And they have done stuff with his powers where they kind of like focus on him a little bit. They put a little bit of like lens flare in there, like sure. he's really focusing right now, and he's kind of picking up something. So I just kind of figured that it was like that.
All right. So the in a true Gandalfian from Lord of the Rings moment, the car pulls up.
You got Punisher and Daredevil. They destroy. Matt's apartment has been blown up by a couple of grenades. It blows up twice. Is little debate about who should
everyone in
die.
that apartment.
Everybody's dead. And no, but wait a second. Everything's fine because now Karen pays back. Of all the people who could have shown up to help them, or they could have like grabbed any one of the cars right by there and just like hot-wired it and on their way. But no, gotta get Karen back because now that's the only thing that's going to save the Punisher and Daredevil.
Oh, I was happy to see Karen. I was thrilled to see Karen. I like Karen. I'm glad she's back.
Me too.
I think that the actress is really good. I wish they wrote her character a lot better. That's all I'm saying. Give her a bit more, because sometimes even in the last couple of seasons, I was like, is she really saying this? Seriously? And the actress is really doing well. I love what she's doing, but she's keeping it likable. But I don't know what the hell they're doing. Why suddenly she's some huge savior for the Punisher and Daredevil? You know what I did like about this scene is that when she pulls up and gets out, Daredevil turns his head to look at Punisher, even though he can't see. It was still this like, really? like it was. Yeah, because everybody freaking loves Karen for some reason. Yeah, she's great. Why wouldn't you love Karen?
they're they're trying to redeem the name. Karen, the name Karen has taken a beating in societally.
It has.
So
it has.
yeah. So
Hey,
now they're hey, it's cool to love Karen. It's cool.
She
Yeah.
has a okay. If you're gonna try and set up a love trial with Punisher and Daredevil and any other freaking Marvel character that she comes across, because somehow, for some reason, they love her. Don't know why, but they just do. Punisher loves her. Daredevil loves her. And I mean, if it was Doctor Strange, she'd be Doctor Strange. He loves it. Wong, take a hike. Karen's over in town. I'll take care of this one. And Spider-Man's like, hey, get out of here. Doctor Strange, I can take care of this. Karen, I'll show you my secret identity.
I don't think we need a love triangle. No, we don't.
If Iron Man was alive, he'd be like, yeah, I love this girl. I was like, what?
I don't think we need a love triangle between Matt and Frank and Karen. I don't need that. I am happy with Matt and Karen just being together. To me, Karen Page is the love interest of Matt Murdock. I know he's her or Elektra, I guess, but I don't know. Like was great. Like I love Daredevil Yellow, the comic book by Jeff Loeb, right? Like that's about Karen and Matt, and I love that, So I don't need a love triangle, but I am happy to see her back.
I think shows often, it's kind of a little bit of a derail, but I think sometimes when you have a protagonist, like in this case, a male protagonist, and you want them to end up with a different girl, you need to give them an out of the relationship that doesn't make them look like the bad guy.
Yeah.
So the writers will make the girl cheat on the guy, or they'll make her really terrible to the guy. Something so that when the relationship ends, you're not like, well, man, what a jerk. Matt just totally left Heather for Karen. That you're like, oh man, I can't wait for this Heather girl to be out of the picture, and then you see Karen show up, and it's like, oh, this is great. And it does like a real disservice, I think, to like narrative especially in a short run show like this. Like they really made Heather unlikable.
They did. They did,
to the point where like there was no like when Muse was like gonna maybe kill her, there was no part of me that's like, oh no. It was kind of like, oh good, like no, okay, that's fine. We can get on the show, like it just like it just a little bit of a disservice to like to the overall flow of the show, where you could have just had Heather be really likable and other things, break them up. Besides the fact that she's like mad at him for being shot in a hospital, or that he's as bad as a serial killer for Muse because he wears a mask. Yeah. Like just like the dumb things that this horrible therapist apparently would say. Very good judge of character. Anyway, it was nice to see Karen. And we get to go kind of back to, we get to go back to the lair, if you will. I did like the shotgun line. I thought that was funny. That was funny. That was good.
I did like that. Yeah.
So which one?
Shotgun. Matt,
oh yeah.
We get the Punisher loving his coffee. We get the
more coffee.
I mentioned the Scooby-Doo detective stuff, and then we have this again where Matt's like, if only I could find this file. I don't know where it is. And Karen's like, well, we have a storage container with all the files in it. Matt's like, oh, of course. Like, why didn't I think of that? Like, and which is a great question. I know we're just trying to move at this point. We're just trying to move narrative along, but it does kind of like, I don't know. Matt's either like he's like a full CSI team by himself, picking up bullets that he somehow found magically rolling into gutters and deducing the exact location of serial killers within like 3 seconds of trying. Or he's like, the file storage? I never would have dreamed to think of that for the file. Who would have thought of such a place? There's no in between with Matt Murdock. He's the smartest detective alive, or a dumb man. But either way, we kind of get the next little bit here. But there was certainly some heartbeat stuff going on here. Brody, I know you're feeling that love story. Dylan's maybe not feeling that love story as much. They can't have Punisher be like a love interest for her, though, right?
No. Punisher is not a love interest for anybody. Nobody wants to love the Punisher.
No, but it's kind of like, if you watched Monk, after a while of them writing how much he loves his dead wife, like you couldn't just have, like, in season 5 him be like, well, actually, this Susan girl's pretty great. I'm gonna go, and even though like in real life, like we would all root for Monk to have like a significant other, like at some point, like if the whole part of their characters, they're sad and depressed because their whole family was killed, you can't also then have them be like, hey, but actually this new family's pretty great.
Yeah. I just want to be happy with you.
Maybe I'm just like a misdemeanor. I married misdemeanor, and now we're now I just kind of I slap people instead of shooting them. I'm a happier Punisher.
I'm a much happier.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't need a Karen Punisher romance, and I certainly don't need the love triangle.
Excellent. What did you guys think of Daniel trying on his little Kingpin Junior thing? Like he's in there and he's like really kind of mobbing up the room, making threats.
I'm over Daniel. I'm over him. I don't need him. He said he was going to burn for Kingpin in the last episode, and I'm just ready for him to burn. Kill him off.
Kill him off.
I'll be honest. You know what? I don't know what it is. It's not like they wrote his character very well, but I really liked how I like the guy. I like the character. I like the guy who's portraying him. I don't want to see him get hurt. I'm like, come on, dude, what are you doing here?
What are you doing?
Anyway, so agreed. Speaking of things we didn't want to see, we get a BB report right after this, which was just a complete just a derailing of everything yet again. I don't like these BB reports. We get the looter gunned down by the cop who's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, he's a vigilante," and he pulls like the hoodie over his face. This pandemonium is broken out. Can we just talk about like the kind of the cartoonish way that Fisk is taking over all of New York somehow with like whatever small task force he had? Like, I don't understand. Like, Brody, you are defend this because I know that you love this plot line. Defend it.
No, it was kind of silly. Like it's hard to defend it. This New York is where all the superheroes are. All the superheroes are in New York. I've complained about this.
Nobody said or did anything.
I've complained about this with multiple things. Strange apparently has backup generators at the Sanctum Sanctorum. He didn't realize it. Maybe they're all off world. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how to defend this one.
Deep in secret wars right now. They can't. Sorry, we've all been sucked. We got other things we're thinking about.
Yeah. I don't know.
It seems a little bit too big for not one other superhero to kind of be like, "You guys need a hand? I only live here too. I'm a vigilante, I guess. Anybody?"
And I know we're not gonna get like Spider-Man in the show, but man, this is just such like a perfect all this mask vigilante talk and like I just so badly I knew it was never gonna happen, but like just have like Tom Holland swing by.
Yeah.
For a little cameo. Well, man, that would have been great.
At the end.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Well, okay. So that's the Fisk stuff. He's got the Freeport. He's got the entire New York Department of Police
also,
and apparently the military to put all of New York on martial law, lock it down 8 p.m. No big deal. I'm sure that'll go well.
One quick thing. One quick note was, he took out all the power. There was rioting because like we saw a rioter.
Sure.
And the next day, like the city's just back to normal.
It's fine.
There was
no big deal.
There were some rioters. I guess it's just business as usual. There's a task force that's out like patrolling the streets and just shooting people. Daytime comes, just back to normal.
It'll be fine.
And there was a lot of this task force. I mean, I thought that there were like 8 guys. There looked like there was a lot. Like they were everywhere.
There'd have to be to control all of New York. You need like, I don't know, 100,000, 100 million. I don't know. New York's big, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's like 33,000 total police officers in all of New York, roughly.
Okay.
You probably more than that to like control all of New York. It's a big city, lots of bridges.
Yeah.
I mean, even Batman couldn't defend it.
Wow.
Well, he lives in
Where's
Gotham.
Batman during all this? How come Batman's not intervening?
It's because that's Gotham City. Wrong city.
Gotham is New York City. That's why they call New York Gotham. Anyway, we're not going to. Brody. Okay. Brody, Gotham is New York. New York is Gotham. It is. All right. We're not.
Wait a second. Hey, in Superman 4, Nuclear Man picked up the Statue of Liberty. He wasn't in Gotham. He was in Metropolis. It has suddenly the Statue of Liberty.
Metropolis is also New York. They just didn't call it New York for some reason. All right. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I want to talk about the commissioner's head popping like a melon. So we need to talk about this. This was a moment right here.
I saw this, and I gotta say, I was like, Brody's gonna hate this. He's
Why
gonna
would I hate it?
hate this.
Why would I hate it?
That was more graphic than a lot of like horror movies, and you hate horror movies.
But it wasn't
That
scary.
was worse. His head didn't just pop. It wasn't.
No.
Seeing a large individual just crush a guy's head, and it didn't just pop; it tore apart.
It
I
did
was
tear
just like-
apart. Yeah, it did. No, it,
So,
Yeah,
felt,
it kind of went every which way. It was like
it
the
was-
alligator with his mallet smashing a melon.
Ah,
There's a timely reference for you kids.
yeah, there you go.
wow.
You know, earlier in this season, I had complained about Fisk like being this, like it seemed like he was trying to be a good guy. He's trying to be a mayor, and I was like, you know, he slammed a guy's head in the door and to the point of like decapitation. Like he exploded a guy's head in a car door in season 1. Like, what is
This was more graphic.
why is he now
This
that?
is way.
But
This was
this
more
is Kingpin. But this is Kingpin, and I'm glad that we're getting Kingpin.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad. I am saying I'm kind of surprised.
It
You
was a
didn't look at that
lot.
thing-
It was a lot, but I was happy to see Kingpin being Kingpin and crushing a guy's head. Oh gosh, sorry, I just totally mocked my.
Don't crush the mic. Don't crush your microphone.
Just just like Kingpin, I'm gonna pop it.
Is it like a head?
You know, the
It-
the jaw like came right off, and the skin just flew up. You know, I thought it was great. It was great.
I don't know.
Sure, it's fair.
I mean, it's fair.
I think it was a my only complaint about it, and it's not really a complaint about that scene. I think it was like a good Kingpin scene. But like the commissioner, like I feel like a lot of characters in this particular season was just kind of here to die. Like he wasn't
sure.
here to. It was not a real character. It made no sense. The scenes that he was in, like the briefings that he was in, it made no sense that he was there. It made no sense that he's like, I've got all this dirt and never told anybody. It made no sense that he's just nothing that he did made any logical sense. From the moment he appeared on screen, it was just kind of like he was just a plot device.
I mean, his name
There
was
something about him that
Gallo.
rang true.
What?
From
Why
like
is
the,
it?
the flubbering, he's like, oh, you can't do that. You can't put his hand in hot oil, like, and he like, I just like I don't know. I didn't like the character. I didn't understand why he was there, other than just to get his head squeezed. The head squeeze was cool.
It
The
was
vice
cool.
grip.
It was cool.
It was
Yeah,
cool. It
just
was
like
cool.
a wrestling move.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny only because I kind of saw these things coming. I was just like, well, I mean, he's literally going off to his death.
Yeah, he might as well just be wearing a red shirt and beaming down on a planet. I mean, the guy, and he might as well have just been 3 weeks away from retirement. He might as well have just bought a brand new boat.
He just got married. He just
got married. Just like,
just
hey,
had a great-
here's my kids' pic. Look at my family, my beautiful family. Look at this picture. I'm taking them on a European vacation next week. Dream of a lifetime. Yeah, just they've never written a character more ready to die.
Yeah.
Than the commissioner.
I mean, one thing is
right,
that there was a lot of those task force guys like sitting there watching, and like while the task force guys are bad guys, they're kind of like anti-vigilante, you know. But like to watch the mayor do that to the police commissioner, none of them were like, "Oh shoot!" Like,
Hey, wait a minute.
what
What
have
are
we
you doing?
gotten into? Like,
Yeah.
that's a lot, man. You know, they all just kind of stood there and like watched. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was odd. It was odd to say the least. Now we did kind of went out of order here because actually before this scene happens, we do get the big Punisher and like deciding to grab his most trusty knife and leave all his like guns at home and go try to invade the dock with like all of the tasks. And you talk about you didn't know how many task force members there were.
There's more.
They're
there?
all out there handling the riot, and yet there was a lot of them at the docks. So that's a lot of task force.
Because a fair amount of them died.
Yeah, he killed a bunch, but they just kept coming like little, I guess, like roaches. I don't know.
Can I also just ask, of all the people who was going, like, he doesn't seem exactly like he's like the truth means a lot to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick with that. They're sitting there and they're like, "Hey, we'd like you to join us. We'll serve with you." You think he'd be like, "Really? Can I get my gun back? That'd be great." But instead, but I mean, I will say, I've been waiting for him to kind of lay into this this task force and being like, when he was like, you guys think you know my pain and all that? Oh, you're gonna have a little sword with you? You guys are a bunch of clowns. I was just like, there you go, Frank.
I could have even handled a little bit more. I could have used even a little bit more.
Yeah. Yes.
What I'm really hearing you say, Dylan, is that you think he should have been like, "Hey, oh, you from Jersey?" And then like put out his hand like, hey.
we're not skipping ahead, are we?
That could work, Dylan. Like he's just gonna sit there and he's captured. He's gonna be like, "Oh, you're from Jersey," and they're just gonna like what? Let them go? Come on.
I often think, hey, if the person's from the same town as me, why not forget the handshake? Just give him his gun back.
I saw a movie once where someone was getting ready to kill another one and then stopped because he's like, "You have the same mother's name as I do." So I mean, you never know. You never know what's gonna stop someone from harming you.
Marvel's turning into DCU.
It's true.
Anyway, did you guys like the? I know there was some some silliness to it, but did you like just the Punisher action stuff there in the second half there?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it was great.
He was really not prepared. He decided to give himself a haircut, a shave, but forget the guns. I mean, that's not what's important here.
Well, and it was great to see Punisher be the one to kind of lay into this task force. These guys that are wearing like the cheapo version of his skull.
You would have thought he would have planned a little bit more.
I would have thought
just a little bit more. Just a little, maybe plan to pack a little bit more planning.
Maybe do some sniping or something along the way.
Yeah,
guys,
sure.
a lot of guns.
Sure.
It's just a lot of things were really kind of out of character, is all I'm saying, especially around that whole thing.
All right, so from here, we kind of we get him tied up, we get the commissioner's head squished, and then we have Daredevil and Karen show up, and like I wrote this down because she says essentially the same line 3 different times, 3 different ways while Daredevil reacts, and it was almost like they're like, hey, try another take, but then they kept them all in there. She's like, you will die or you will kill. Like, okay, well, all right, let's let him kill, but whatever. And then he kind of is like, and she's like, well, now you're hurt. You're not going to survive. Is that what you want? Fisk has the courts. He has the cops. He's got an army now. You can go down there and fight him, but you will probably die. You can't beat him like that. like it's just like, and you're right, Karen. Like it's the same line like 3 times. Like I don't like with like extra stuff. She just keeps like, oh, well, okay, come on. And then he's like, all right, you talked me into it. The 3rd time you're like, hey, you're gonna die. Have you considered the fact that you're gonna die?
Say that one more time for me. Whoa.
Wait. Say it again. You're gonna die. That's it. That's the one. I'm not gonna go do it.
Well, I can't do that. I usually, as Daredevil, I like jump right in, and I don't have any kind of a plan because apparently my plan, like just earlier tonight, didn't really work. I got shot. Here I'm thinking it's checkmate for Matt Murdock. I'm like, he's got it. It's fine. And instead, I'll just kill him. And I'm like,
don't worry, he's assembling an army. So she talks him out of dying, essentially. Power comes back on. Heather decides that she's now going to work for Fisk. We get another BB report. We get a press conference. The vigilantes, martial law. And then he says, never forget, which is like the iconic New York saying, I love New York. I don't know. I kind of went Richard Nixon there at the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
Another timely reference for you young people out there. And then we get like, okay, I look, there's a lot of things about this episode that didn't work for me, but I'll tell you the thing that may have been the most effective was putting a little radio head on at the end. Oh man. That like little that's some good soundtracking right there. That was a good needle drop at the end. Love that song, and I thought it worked pretty well over the end. It did not, however, mask for me the idea that he's cultivating an army, and it's a bunch of like faceless, like 40 to 75-year-old police officers, the bartender, Cherry, and then like the random detective who was in the show, and Karen, and it's like, all right, team, where do we start?
Yeah.
The times for a cameo of all the times not to do.
I just wanted Tom Holland to be sitting there and just be like, all right, where do we go from here?
Or like a Luke Cage or a Jessica Jones. Like,
absolutely. I'm glad there was no Iron Fist, but other than that. Yeah, it would have been a great time for a
It-
cameo. That would have gotten me pumped.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was kind of an interesting thing of him walking in, and it's kind of like, I don't know who these people are. Aside from the bartender and the
Bullseye.
random
We
detectives.
even
But
see it. We even see a shot of Bullseye, and Bullseye is like, I don't even know what I'm thinking right now. Where are my
Yeah.
pills? Is he thinking he's going to join their team?
no.
I don't think so.
Look, we were talking about this off air a little bit. I'm telling you, they are trying to soften the Bullseye character up, give him a third dimension. They're trying to make him a little bit more relatable. I'm not saying I like it. I'm just telling you they're doing it. You watch into the next season, they're trying to give him a little bit more of a roundness. He's not just a psychotic killer. He's he's got a troubling backstory, just like the Punisher. He just went a different direction with his pain. His pain drove him to be a different kind of killer. I'm telling you, it's coming.
Bullseye,
you're not gonna like it. I'm not gonna like it, but it's coming.
Bullseye is not somebody that needs any shades of gray. I was just talking about this. I think when we were talking about episode 1 and how I love that Bullseye is just a bad guy. He's full on bad guy, doesn't care about killing people. That's just what he does. That's how he is in the comic books. I don't need a sympathetic Bullseye. I just want him to be a bad guy.
Agreed. But that's not what you're going to get in season 2.
No.
All right. Look, I'm going to give you. We can kind of switch to the scores if you want here, Brody. But just like this whole wrap up episode to me felt pretty flat circly. This whole season, we have Matt as a lawyer discovering for the first time that the law at times is unjust and does not work.
Sure.
He's been a lawyer for like 20 years, but he's just figuring this out now. It's a big shock. He's a brand new lawyer. His friend is killed under mysterious circumstances. He doesn't investigate until like all of a sudden he decides to investigate. And just like whether it's Muse or this, as soon as he decides, I'm going to investigate this, everything gets solved very quickly without really any effort. We have Kingpin starting, and then he's like, maybe I'll be a nicer, kinder Kingpin. And then he's like, just back to being Kingpin. We have Daredevil still arguing over whether or not we should kill people or not. We have like just by the end of the season, no character has grown. We're in the exact same place. Like this just feels like this all could have been off-screen stuff that happened between the Netflix show and the reboot, and now we're starting. Like the whole season was like a setup. Like okay, now we can start telling stories because now Kingpin is back to being Kingpin. Now Daredevil's back to being Daredevil. So it took us like a whole season of like nothingness to kind of get back. Let me pitch this to you guys.
Okay.
Instead of this, like, I was thinking about this while I was watching the episode. There was like really like the most emotional moment of the whole season was Foggy dying, and it was like in the first few minutes, and even that wasn't that weighty because we never really got to see Matt even grieving through the emotions. So instead of having that in the first episode, we start the show off. Matt, Karen, Foggy, they're doing law stuff. It's all going great. There's some you can have Muse or some other bad guy doing some crimes. Daredevil's doing Daredevil stuff. He's investigating. He's taking time away from Foggy. Foggy's investigating. He wants to get together with Matt. We're a few episodes in at this point now. They set up a meeting. It's a really important one. Foggy's discovered something big. He gives him the classic, hey, I've got something to tell you. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to change the game. And then Daredevil gets tied up. He's late. He hears the gunshot in the distance. He makes it there just in time to see Foggy lying there lifeless. And he didn't make it in time to save his friend because he was doing Daredevil stuff. Now he thinks about being Daredevil, and all he can think about is his dead friend. So he doesn't want to wear the suit. He doesn't want to be Daredevil anymore. He doesn't want to do it anymore because he's broken up. We get to see Matt. He's struggling with that kind of demon, the guilt. The more interesting thing to me about superheroes isn't so much like the killing or not killing thing. I think that is really boring to talk about. But who you save and who you don't, how you prioritize that. How do you, if you can only save so many people, even if you're Superman, you can only save so many people, and there's got to be a moment where the gravity of who you can save and who you can't, that weighs on you. That's the more interesting storyline to me. Get to see the weight of that and those demons that Matt wrestles with. Maybe he investigates in the back. Maybe Karen doesn't even know. She confronts him finally, like, hey, how come we never even talk about Foggy? What is this? And he pulls back like a murder report. And he's like, no, I've been investigating this whole time. It all leads us to Vanessa. And they realize it's her. And they go to, he's going to arrest her with Punisher or whoever. And then Fisk finally shows up and he just like pummels them and crushes them. Fisk is back, baby. And that's how we end season 1. And it's like, oh my gosh, we got to see Matt lose his friend, go through this whole thing, this whole catharsis, come back strong as Daredevil, and then Kingpin just come and clocks him. And now I can't wait for season 2 because it's going to be Kingpin versus Matt again. We don't need the mayor stuff. We don't need the vigilante stuff. We don't need to be comparing Daredevil to serial killers. We don't need to be relitigating whether Daredevil should be Daredevil. We don't need to hear about Daredevil and Punisher arguing over who should kill and who shouldn't. We know who Punisher is. We know who Daredevil is. We know that Matt is a good person. There's no, if Matt killed somebody, there's no point. And 4 seasons, we're not going, oh, well, he's a bad guy now. He's not a bad guy. We don't need to talk about this anymore. He's a great human. We trust you, Matt. We love you, Matt. You're our Daredevil. Just go out there and be Daredevil. Let him be Daredevil. And that like really bothered me. The season kind of just went, and like storylines that were started were solved far too simplistically. There was no real depth. It didn't like really go out of the way to develop any of the characters in any kind of rich or meaningful way. I never felt scared or in suspense for what would happen. The fate, whether it was the little girl or whether it was Heather, like with the Muse stuff, there was no part of me that was worried or scared for those characters. It was just kind of like, I'm like Ivan Drago over here. If they die, they die. Like I don't know. Apparently he's also an Italian mobster at that point. I don't know. Rocky IV. We're making all the good references tonight. That was my overall impression.
That actually makes that's a compelling idea and story. They should have called you to fix it.
They should have.
I'm available, Marvel, if you need me.
Oh man.
So I'm gonna
wait. Before we actually finish, we didn't address in any way the mid or end credit scene.
We alluded to it. You're right.
We alluded to it.
Talk correctly about it. All right, Dylan, take us through the mid credit scene. Come on, give us your best Jersey accent.
My best Jersey. I can't. Frank Castle or Punisher. I can't do a Punisher, but yeah, I love the whole. I was just kind of like, is he joking right now? He was just like, hey, where you from? What's your name? Anthony Pellicano. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm from Jersey too. Yeah, let me shake your hand. I called all of you guys clowns, and I murdered probably half of you on my way in.
Some time to think about it over here in this cage.
As he was doing it, I was just like, I love that he played De Niro's son. He's like, let me shake your hand. Let me
shake your hand over here.
He's not going to shake his hand. I was like, that's the dumbest thing. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Good. You're good.
You're good. And he did. And as soon as he took his hand, I was like, are you kidding? I almost, because of how people just cannot die, I actually was like, is still here?
I was waiting for Adam to be in a cage when they were panning.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, right.
Come on, just one time, just have him in a cage. It would be the ultimate callback. It wouldn't make any sense. It could have just been so quick, but it would have been so funny. And he's just please, I'm having the worst year. They keep shooting me and beating me to death, but I can't die. Turns out he's a superhero who has eternal life, and they just keep killing him. You can't be killed.
With the way that people heal in this show, like the commissioner could have been in there with like some bandages just wrapped around his head, like
head wrapped around. I had to wire my job, but I'm all right. Oh man, just wait till Foggy comes back next season and he's like, "Hey, did you miss me, Matt?"
That would be better. That would be. Hey, I'd take it if it was Foggy. I'm telling you, folks, Foggy's coming back.
Not.
All right, so I kind of give you my impression of the season, and now I'll give you my score for the episode, which I'll put it like a 6.4.
Okay.
Not my favorite. It just didn't really like. I don't know. Anyway, you've heard my thoughts. Give me your season wrap up and your score, Dylan.
I gotta say this. I gave a lot of like leeway because I love these characters. I love all of what came before. And we never thought we'd see it again. So when he came back, I was like, in his own show, I was just like, this is great. And I was wearing rose tinted glasses. Speaking of old fashioned sayings, and I kept thinking this is going to make sense. It's going to tie together. This is going to be great. And I was shockingly let down. I thought. I mean, before we never had to talk like. We've talked about this off camera where we're like, we like, I'll pay attention and this. I was like, this is Daredevil. I'm paying attention. So when you were like, yeah, I'm doing this for the channel. I'm going to pay attention. I'm like, you weren't like riveted, and you really wasn't. It's true. It's the first time I thought to myself, I was exceedingly disappointed. I thought they had set up some really great plot point. I gave the last episode an 8.5 when I gave it shockingly too much credit. I'm giving this a 6. I love seeing Matt as Daredevil. I love seeing Punisher as Punisher. He shaved, he got a haircut, killing people left and right. And of course, everything has to stop because Karen showed up. Everybody has to hate Heather because Heather is a jerk, just talking.
Heather ain't great.
She is.
She's got to be even more worse. All of these different things. There was no underlying stuff. I was very. It's still Daredevil. Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio. All of these actors are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But what they were given this time, they were not given a lot. And I mean, last time they had it all together. They had all those actors. They had the writing. They had a story idea, and I was disappointed. But I mean, overall, as I'm looking at it, it's not terrible. But for Daredevil, that's my take. There you go.
All right.
Well,
so Brody, I know you loved this one. Come on. Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say I loved it, but I liked this one. And for me, the past couple episodes, well, we kind of bottomed it out at 7. I didn't like 7 at all. But then after that, it kind of took a little bit of an upswing, and I liked this one more than I liked even last one. So I'm going to go with an 8. I liked getting more Daredevil. I liked that we got Punisher. I liked that we got, them fighting this task force. I liked that we got Karen back. I liked a lot of that stuff. And I think that, well, I'm hoping that we can kind of stay on this upward swing as we go into season 2, and that we can continue on with this stuff. Like the middle of the season kind of didn't do anything. It wasn't really needed. We kind of just dropped a lot of that stuff. And now, and I think that part of the issue was that we were dealing with 2 like totally different shows that then they had to Frankenstein together.
Yeah.
And this felt like this was more of the direction that the new showrunners, directors wanted to go. And so maybe I'm just comparing this to the rest of the season that I didn't like, but I liked this one a lot more. So I'm going with an 8.
Sure.
And so,
all right, guys, sorry, go ahead, bro.
Go ahead. I was just going to go over the full season kind of wrap up.
Yeah, go ahead. I did some timing.
Okay.
Like a crazy person, I sat there and I timed how long Daredevil was on screen. Now, you guys remember I messaged you guys. We talked about this a little bit off camera. I got your scores, but I have not revealed the results yet. So I asked you guys how long you thought Daredevil appeared on screen. And just for those of you who are just for science. So the way that I scored this was, he had to be on the screen. So if they cut away from him, then I stopped counting. So like, for instance, in the first episode, there's a fight with Bullseye. There's some elongated periods of time where Bullseye is on the stairs by himself. He's throwing knives, and the onlookers were like, "There's something going on here. Dying." And stuff like that. But there was also scenes where like he was fighting Muse, and he might at one point he knocked Muse in the other room, and you see Muse fall into frame, and there's no Daredevil. I kept the clock running there because then Daredevil enters, and so it was kind of like it was part of the fight. When in that same fight he would like throw a punch, and all of a sudden we'd cut to Kingpin, I'd stop the counter because it's not Daredevil on screen anymore. It's Kingpin. So for episode 1, Brody guessed 11 minutes. Dylan guessed 5 minutes of Daredevil total screen time. The actual screen time, Daredevil was on screen in the first episode for 214 seconds, or 3 minutes and 34 seconds. The longest consecutive time we saw Daredevil on screen without cutting to something else was 36 seconds. In the beginning, we have that kind of 36-second fight scene with him and Bullseye, but then we're cutting to Foggy on the street, we're cutting to Cherry on the street, we're cutting to Karen, we're cutting to Bullseye by himself, and so there's a bunch of I kind of labeled it all out here, but there's maybe 17 different clips of Daredevil, but it all adds up to about 3 minutes and 34 seconds.
I thought it was a lot higher.
In episode 6, Brody guessed 4 minutes, Dylan guessed 5 minutes. The actual
was
time was 1 minute and 50 seconds. Very short. 1 minute and 50 seconds. And there was a lot of short ones. 1 second, 7 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds.
It was really just the fight with Muse.
2 seconds, 3 seconds. Because he was fighting Muse, and they kept cutting back to Kingpin over and over.
That was rough.
The longest consecutive we had was 23 seconds of Daredevil on screen in that episode.
Wow.
And episode 7, another Muse fight. Brody guessed 9 minutes. Dylan guessed 7 minutes. It was 2 minutes and 9 seconds.
That had the investigation.
Yeah, and that was the longest when he's like sitting there feeling pictures.
Yeah.
I kept the count going, even though it was just his hands. You see,
Okay.
see little Daredevil hands touching the pictures. You know, and then the right bumps pop up there. That was about 37 seconds. You could argue that I did a cut when they cut to the girl there. You could add the 8 seconds to it if you wanted to make it consecutive, but that's about the longest consecutive we see Daredevil. And then episode 9, I didn't count Daredevil with his mask off, getting like, you know, talking to Karen because he's kind of like, he was just mad, happened to be wearing a Daredevil suit, and I didn't count him at the rocks where Karen tells him, "Come on, don't die." So I stopped counting after the shotgun line. Brody guessed 15 minutes. Dylan guessed 10. The actual time there was 3 minutes 13 seconds. And so in total,
really,
we have out of 9 episodes in total, we have 10 minutes and 43 seconds where Daredevil is on screen. Out of 437 minutes of Daredevil, only 10 of those were devoted. So just to kind of drive you guys even a little bit more nuts, in a less than 2 hour movie of Thor, we get Darcy on screen for 8 minutes and like 30 seconds. So if you add up her 2 Thor movies, she's dwarfing Daredevil like 60, because about the same in each. Darcy Lewis 8:45 in one and 8:30 in the other. Those are like less than 2 hour movies, and she's in 16 minutes of screen time. You know, if you want to go like Natasha was in 9 minutes of Iron Man 2. I mean, like you could go through like Iron Man 3, Rhodey Rhodes, the Iron Patriot was in 9 minutes and 45 seconds of that out of 2 hours, and you know
that's crazy.
It just was not a lot of Daredevil time. You can find all these MCU times, by the way, if you just search for it. I didn't count every MCU movie. I'm not that crazy. I'm crazy enough to sit there and pause the Daredevil show, but I didn't count every MCU movie, I promise. But it was way less than even I expected when I started. I was like, oh, this will be like 5 minutes here, 7 minutes there.
Yeah.
No, it was like just they
crazy
kept cutting away. Even in the fight with Muse in the office, there was like a 15-second shot of like Muse on the ground getting up, and then Heather on the ground slowly looking around, and like just like the whole, like they're extending that sequence out without having Daredevil even be a part of it. It was wild to me. We need more Daredevil in season 2.
Yes, please. I thought that season 9 had a lot more, but I was wrong.
Yeah. Season 9? You mean episode 9?
I'm sorry, episode 9. Episode 9. Yeah.
And to be fair, if I counted him just sitting there talking about heartbeats, you know, maybe we would have gotten that number up a little bit, but
oh jeez,
that didn't seem Daredevil to me.
I really hope that they can't just have that be the army. They gotta have somebody else. I mean, at least the other Defenders, some of them, one of them.
You would think so.
It's going to be Iron Fist. It'll be like, they're craving more throwbacks to the Netflix series. Let's bring back Iron Fist. Everybody loved that guy.
Justice for Finn Jones.
Or whatever.
Hey, I loved the fact that Daredevil beat the snot. He's the master of kung fu, and Daredevil beat the snot out of him. That was a great scene.
Hey, he didn't win karate championships like Muse did. So
that's also true. That's very true.
Well, but before we finish this up, I do want to go over kind of our season averages for this stuff. You've been looking at it, but let's chat about it too. And so Dylan had the lowest, and he had an average of 7 for all these episodes, which
isn't
still
bad.
Not bad. Charlie was right in the middle with 7.23, and then I was the highest with 7.63. So even with us having kind of different opinions on a lot of this stuff, we weren't that far off.
We weren't even a point apart.
Yeah. You know, and so for the Talk Punch average, you know, we came in at a 7.43. So it still came in as pretty good. We had some low points.
7.53, bro.
7.63 was my average.
7.63.
Yeah.
It does look like 5.
Does it?
So shouldn't it be lower than 7.4? Shouldn't it be lower than 7.43 then? Like if the average between a 7.63 and a 7.23 is 7.43, right? Am I mathing correctly? And then if you add a 7, shouldn't that lower the 7.43?
It's an I don't know. That is based on a formula that Google Sheets is doing. That is an average between
Right. Hey,
those cells.
I was told there'd be no math. I don't know. I've done way too much math. I've been adding Daredevil times. I don't know, but strikes me that 7.2 and 7.6 probably the halfway point would be 7.4. So having a 7 would lower that. But what do I know?
I don't know.
Not math. I certainly don't know enough.
Not math. That's for sure.
Not math.
That's what it says. So that's what I'm saying.
I don't
so
know.
that's
No.
that is
Brody's
the talk.
cooking the books, folks. He's cooking the books to make it look better.
I'm up in
He's
that
a bot.
average.
He's a Disney bot. He's a Disney bot inflating the score.
So that's
Bro,
the average.
I didn't know you knew math.
7.43. That's it. That's what we're. I'm cutting it off. 7.43.
Lock it in. Lock it in.
I'm not checking math. So
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should not question the algorithms.
So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed this overall. I'm really hopeful for season 2. I'm looking forward to season 2. I know they're filming right now. Hopefully we're getting it next year. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping we're going to get like a cohesive season. And just some stories that start at the beginning and end at the end.
Yeah, all the great elements are here. Like a great cast.
Yeah,
rich characters with a lot of stories that can be told. They just need to, put some of those pieces together, tell a more cohesive story. It's going to be, it could be great. And in honor of Daredevil season 2, Brody is going to start 3D printing his Daredevil mask. He will wear the Daredevil mask for the premiere. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, you got a year.
I might actually do that. We'll see.
You got to do it.
Nice.
Oh, all right.
On,
well,
man.
Let's go ahead. We have finished this season. Guys, this has kind of been a special thing for us. That we haven't done anything like this before with reviewing every episode of a season. So this was kind of an experiment. We'll see if we do it again.
The Daredevil, if you like the Daredevil content, we can still talk more Daredevil. There's lots of different things we can always talk about. Just throw it out. If you like that we're talking about this, or you want us to talk about other kinds of things that do or don't make sense, we do or don't like, put a comment down below. Comment on it.
Yeah.
Let us know.
All right, Charlie, you want to go ahead and close us out?
I do. I think that movies and TV are wonderful and magic, but I think my favorite thing about them is like getting to talk about them after, getting to argue about stuff that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme, but it's so important in that moment, and just kind of getting to have community with each other, just over something that we like or we dislike, or that drove us a little bit nuts or whatever. So we love having you as part of that community. Make sure you let us know what you liked about the show, what you didn't like about the show. Did you watch? Did you not watch it? Are you all in on season 2? Make sure you let us know, because it is so much more fun when we talk and share these shows and movies with each other than when we just do it by ourselves. So make sure you check out some of our other videos. Hit that like and subscribe below that gorgeous beard over there. And we'll see you next time. We're rebirthed in season 3 or 2 or 4, whichever is coming next. I don't math.
Karen's great.
I love Karen.